I'll be moderating the panel. I'm Alan Joseph. I'm the head of development at Bitlayer Labs. The panel will be about technical insights of Bitcoin scaling solutions. So maybe we'll not waste any time. We'll start by introducing all the speakers. So maybe all the speakers can introduce themselves one by one.
Hey everyone, my name is Steven. I work at RISC as the head of strategy, and we're building ZK VMs, which all will be able to be verified on Bitcoin.
Hi, this is Xiaohui from sCrypt. So we are doing a developer platform for all the Bitcoin and also Bitcoin compatible chains.
I have introduced myself. I'm Chris.
Yeah, I'm Kevin. I'm from Bitlayer, co-founder of Bitlayer. We're building a Bitcoin layer 2 with the flow proof and validated proof.
Hi, this is Sinka. I'm the founder of Delphinus Lab. We are building a CK workshop hub so that application maintainers can hosting and generate proofs using the hub. Thanks.
Okay, let's not waste any time. We'll get to the first question. So the question is, in your understanding, what is Bitcoin scaling solution? You can use the framework to explain it, such as what methods are solved over here, what are the issues over here, or anything you have in mind.
Yeah, I think the main thing we think about is what are the existing limitations of Bitcoin and Bitcoin script, and then how do we extend those, right? Principally, what we do with the ZK VM is it allows you to verify any sort of computation. And the stuff we've really focused on is RISC computation. So in a lot of ways, if you're able to verify proofs on Bitcoin, which is what most of the BitVM and OPCat work is around, you're able to basically extend the Bitcoin script programming language to something much more complex. And some of the things that frequently get brought up are things like ZK rollups or ZK coprocessors. And in all these cases, you're basically able to run EVM code, Rust code, etc. on Bitcoin. So that's kind of, I think, the principle of Bitcoin scaling and how folks have been thinking about it.
Yeah, I think there are different approaches in terms of scaling. I think if we assume it's unlikely to increase block size at any time in the short term or even in the foreseeable future, I think we are mostly interested in OPCat enabled scalability. Namely, two things. Number one, zero knowledge based rollup, either be it ZK snarks or ZK stacks. So the second one, I think some people in the community talk about is so-called shared UTXOs. So think about it as like a payment pool. Instead of everybody has their own UTXOs, they can pool the funds of Bitcoins together. So let's say multiple people can then use a single UTXO, which is kind of almost like a Bitcoin bank. So, but then you have almost like a balance sheet showing, recording like each individual's balance. So when you do want to use a Bitcoin, you can withdraw it. And the beautiful thing about this approach is it's also trustless. Everything is enforced by contracts on layer one.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think layer 2 is very important for Bitcoin scaling, and maybe we can also use rollup things to scale Bitcoins.
For me, I have I many years ago somebody told me that maybe an exchange can be a Bitcoin scaling solution because it do the transferring things and exchange thing for the Bitcoin, because we cannot do these things on Bitcoin native layer 1. And these days, when I'm building Bitlayer, we think building a load up, as Professor Zhang says, is the best way to connect new blockchain and Bitcoin layer 1 using flow proof and validated proof. And that is things that we are building. And we focus on this part.
From my side, since Bitcoin is already the best assets in the crypto world, we would like to see that Bitcoin becomes the best, not only an asset, but a settlement layer for all generic applications. Thanks.
Yeah, so moving on to the next question. There are always going to be limitations and trade-offs in system design, like we have the blockchain trilemma, right? So when you're building a Bitcoin scaling solution, like what is the possible trade-off that would be there?
Yeah, I think there's two trade-offs right now. Principally, at least in the ZK field, cost is still a consideration. It's not that expensive, but when it comes to like a EVM transaction in ZK, it's like 1/10 of a cent. So it's quite reasonable for running that on Bitcoin and then verifying it, but it is something to think about if you're trying to build a really high throughput chain. And then secondly, there are still a lot of trust assumptions that come with BitVM and even BitVM2. It's a very new technology. I think it just came out like earlier this year, so it's totally unproven. There's like 4, 5, 6 teams probably doing their own BitVM implementations, but all of them have different trade-offs in trust and security assumptions. But I'm very confident that within the next year or two, a lot of those will be cleared out.
Yeah, I think that's when somebody sees the challenges, because the layer one is sometimes very limited in terms of all kind of let's say constraints, block size, script size, or element size limit. I think that's where which I find it exciting and interesting, because then it really takes a lot of creativity and almost like a human ingenuity. That's where it comes into play, because if everything in your ideal world, there's no limit, then you can do things very, let's say, inefficient. It doesn't matter much, but because we are working with such a constrained computing platform, a lot of times it just takes I think it's just creativity to how to do the things you want to do. For example, zero-knowledge verify in such a constrained environment. I think some people think it is almost like a blockers. To me, it's more like a challenge, and I find that solving them just give me a lot of it's just satisfying, because you can do such unlimited things on such a limited computing platform.
Yes, I agree. So we have many limitations, right? Block size and the memory, too many things, and we don't support like smart contract, and even it is very challenging to deploy a simple verifier, a ZK verifier on Bitcoin. But we will try to address these problems in the future years, and I believe we can finally address all of the problems, and we will have the better Bitcoin ecosystems with all people's hard work and with all people's efforts, especially people here, to address these problems.
For me, there actually, as a system designer, there are a lot of trade-offs here. The most obvious one is the trade-off between security and the cost. As let's say DA, for example, all we know that Bitcoin has a very limited block space. We cannot do and nobody will do the blob, provide a new block, something like Ethereum do. And people have to, if people want to do this fully on-chain DA on Bitcoin, I don't think that's impossible. At least there will be a huge limitation to the execution environments of layer 2. So for me, third party and a commitment of the DA on-chain on Bitcoin L1 and a third party DA solution, combining these two maybe make much sense. So this we do have a trade-off between the security and the cost. And for me, as a system builder and a co-founder of a new project, we believe that making user easy to access and cheaper to access is very important. So we will maybe we will choose a third-party DA solutions.
I think although there are lots of obstacles here at the moment, but I still believe that it's not that hard to actually adding more OP codes to the BTC bytecodes. So why they are not willing to add that is because they are also waiting for us genius or hardworking engineers to actually working very hard to actually convince them that we can open a new world for them, to give them more motivation, right? So I think once we actually make the BTC snark proof or star proofs working, then we will at a very much more better position to actually tell them that, okay, now see it works and actually opens a new world. So why not actually modify the OB code in favor of us? Thanks.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Native verification is almost very challenging on Bitcoin right now, right? So from a technical point of view, is it possible right now? And if the answer is no, why exactly? And if the answer is yes, what are the potential use cases from it?
I think it's like possible in like a POC sort of manner right now. We talked to a good amount of the BitVM teams, and they're all in various stages of having something functional. So I think we're generally quite positive on a lot of these implementations, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's possible today. Give it another 6 months, I'm quite confident something will come about, but there are like remaining trust assumptions with how BitVM gets set up.
Yeah, some people call me like an OpCat maximalist. You know, always coming back to, seems like it always circles back to OpCat, okay? So to be very honest, right, as I said in my talk, today's contract on Bitcoin, you can do some things, you know, time lock or hash lock or check signature, but it's very primitive, okay? But if, when we have OpCat one day, hopefully sooner than later, I think then it really opens up a lot of application scenarios. For example, I think in my example I gave, you know, we have this kind of like a sidechain or layer 2 called fractal Bitcoin, and the major difference is it has OpCat enabled. And then the second day it launches, I think last week, there's already new token protocols based on OpCat called CAT20 fungible token protocols, and people are, you know, minting a lot of tokens, transferring, and it doesn't require indexers, and also can be programmable. I think this kind of new applications that's impossible before, thanks to OpCat re-enabling. I think I want to have the the community just get around to really look at all the things that happening over there, and if you think OpCat can bring so many new use cases, which of course in the long term can compensate for the fee, you know, because of the block reward halving, keep halving. I think hopefully give us some more confidence. We want to bring OpCat, you know, onto the mainnet sooner than later.
So I have a positive view of this problem. I think in the future we will have more and more developers, and more people will come to contribute to the Bitcoin ecosystems, and we will have various methods to address the challenges of Bitcoin. So I'm optimistic. I think we can address this challenge.
For me, we have been working in this space for almost 1 year, and for us there will be a milestone here before OpCat and after OpCat. Before OpCat, of course, we can only do the fraud-proof thing, and the BitVM actually have been evolving several versions, including the BitVM 1, BitVM 2 design, and the official team, actually there are different teams working on it. Official team is working on a bridge model, which is actually very different from the general verification ability. It's totally different. And there are several other teams like us actually working on the general purpose verification. And the community for now actually know there's some drawbacks of a BitVM, because without OpCat, we cannot have confidence. We can only use the multisig to simulate, to do the federation members. And this is a drawback. So this is why we're looking forward to the OpCat enabled post-OpCat solution that can enable us a better fraud-proof or validity proof. Of course, and as we know, fraud-proof do have the advantage in the cost, because there are no fraud happens, there will be no cost, there will be very low cost. So fraud-proof on Bitcoin still have its space, I think. And according to my knowledge, I think this year we'll have several implementation, at least a testnet, including us. We'll have a testnet in the coming few months, 1 or 2 months. And I think other competitors will also have the parallel version of BigVM, and also the official team. And about the Opcat, I think the Starware team actually worked very hard to promote this opcode, and they actually don't have too much opposite or disagreement on the core team, according to my knowledge. So hopefully we can get it about 6 months or 16 months, something like that. And because of there's a long time process of adoption. So we are very bullish on Opcat because we will solve a lot of problem, and people have done a lot of research, including the sCrypt team, have done a lot of research on it, about its potential, and it's a risk of some of this. So we are very bullish on Opcat, and making us, so we are building a future-proof solution, combining flow-proof and validity-proof that enable us still keeping ahead in this field, verify this field in the future.
Our lab is not working in the frontier of this narrative. Instead, working very hard on research all these opportunities, we choose to sit back and carefully monitor all the projects that are working very hard on this narrative. And because even any one of the projects that can make this work will benefit our CKVM, because that increase one more at the largest layer 1 for WebAssembly applications. Thanks.
Okay, so I know we talked about Opcat and BitVM over here, but let's dive a bit more into it. So what do you guys think about BitVM and Opcat? What are the advantages and limitations? And are there any other solutions out there in the market right now?
Our team hasn't spent much time thinking about OPCAT, but definitely on the BitVM side, I think we already talked about those limitations, specifically how you actually do the fraud risk for BitVM right now is not really there yet. I think with BitVM 2, some of those security concerns are addressed, but there hasn't been any real implementation of it to our knowledge. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, but still getting there, and we're definitely looking for that general purpose BitVM implementation.
Yeah, our work has almost rely on the assumption that opcode needs to be reactivated sooner than later. So what we are doing here is, instead of let's say having a lot of theoretical discussions or talk on it on spaces or even let's say podcasts, we are very empirical. We always build things and use our tool sets to build actual contracts or even dApps that's only possible after the introduction or reintroduction of OPCAT. So we have released a lot of open source code and articles doing, let's say, covenant, recursive covenant, vault, or Merkle tree proof. And we want to show people what kind of things can actually build with this technology. And lately, we also work with a partner called Fractal Bitcoin, because they just launched last week. And we have released a ton of stuff on their live network, besides the Signet, the BTC network. So we want to have all kinds of this kind of experiments to show, hey, what kind of applications OPCAT can enable. We want to demonstrate it to people, to users. Hopefully they can have a sense of what kind of benefits they can actually gain, instead of just some theoretical assumptions. We want to have all the experiments, give data points to help guide whether we should or when we should activate the OPCAT on the mainnet. Yeah. So we take a very empirical approach, yeah. And we want to help developers like Bitlayers. We want to help you to build things on using OPCAT, but without knowing all the underlying opcodes, because we want to have the high-level abstractions and tools to for you to develop things faster, easier with OPCAT, and of course many existing other opcodes. Yeah.
And according to your information, how far we can get it?
Oh, you mean when?
Okay.
You mean when it's going to be?
Yeah. According to your information, I think you have a better, maybe have a better information than me.
Okay. Yeah, this is very hard to say. I would say maybe six months ago I was much more, let's say, optimistic than currently, because at the beginning of this year, when the quantum gas people or type of wizard people are pushing for it, I think everybody is almost getting somehow the sense is coming, maybe even by end of the year, which seems almost impossible now, because we only have a couple months to go. So if I have to guess, I think it's still at least like a year from now. I mean, because there's no activation client even. I think there's some rumors of somebody working on some OpCat client, but I haven't seen. So even you have the client right now, it's still going to be like testing and maybe minor signaling. I think my guess is at least 1 year away.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But here's the thing, I think it's not something already determined, or that's something we can all help. If we can demonstrate, hey, what are the benefit and what kind of new use cases, applications people can build, right? For example, on SIGNet, or even on some like layer 2s, like Fractal, which already has it. I think it's going to help to make it activated sooner. So it's not something fixed, set in stone. So that's all. I think that's what I'm optimistic about. If we can all build things, very nice, at least consumer apps out of it, I think that will help it push it to reactivate it sooner. Yeah.
How about a risk analysis about the OpCat? People actually who are not certain about its progress, is about its risk.
Yeah, I think that's only, I would say, a reasonable counter-argument for not reactivating it now. So here's the thing. So a little bit of background on sCrypt. So we have been working on, sCrypt, Bitcoin script since 2018. On some other blockchains, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and they have OpCat re-enabled since 2018, and they have billions of assets over there. I mean, there's been 6 years of operating, and there's not a single accident I know of that's caused because of OpCat. So I think that's very strong argument saying it's very, very safe. But of course, the BTC, of course, is very different. It's somehow different. I don't think it's ever going to be like 100%. That's not going to be risk. But all the existing evidence is proving in one direction. It's very, very safe. And for people, the only valid argument I'm saying is it may cause some like MEV. I mean, even you don't have OpCat, you still have MEV. So it's just people haven't shown me what kind of a concrete, counter evidence you should not. So that's why I think it's kind of funny, because last time Ordinal show, for people who are watching, they try to have this debate, but nobody wants to, represent the other side. So that also gives me some evidence. Maybe it's just the fear is maybe like overestimate. So I think based on all this evidence, I think it's pretty safe to re-enable it sooner than later. Especially with the Fractal now. Also, there's another data point. If you can, this thing has been running for 10 days, but if it keeps running with all this OpCat since day one, nothing happens, nothing serious happens, I think that's another big signal saying, hey, we should add it sooner than later, because so many projects really depend on, even existing projects, B2VM, even they are not relying on it, but they will hugely benefit from it in terms of efficiency, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to see. We don't implement what we call then the BitVM, but we hope it can be, as you mentioned, it can be the realistic in the near future, because we also we can use it in our applications. We do bridge, So if you have the OpCat and you also have the BitVM, it's more convenient for us to do communication between Bitcoin and other chains.
Yeah, for me, actually, I've talked too much about BitVM and OpCat. I'd like to talk something new. And recently, I heard a project called Chabit. They actually upgrade version of Babylon using a ZK proof to verify the staking thing. And the interesting part the things make me interesting is they're using the existing code, something like a function encryption to simulate OpCat, and use OpCat to simulate to build covenants or something like that. So they all build all this without OpCat. So I think this is great. Is something really cool, and I'm looking forward to what the things happens, and I'm looking forward to the white paper actually.
Okay, so the final question. How do Bitcoin-related innovations support the involvement of Bitcoin-based applications? No problem, no problem. So how do Bitcoin-related innovations support the involvement of Bitcoin-based applications?
Yeah, I guess all these innovations are like trying to build out a base framework that people can build apps on top of, right? Like that's what EVM was with Ethereum. That's what we're seeing with SVM, Solana, and all those sort of things that simply doesn't really exist in Bitcoin. And without all these structures put in place, like bridging, like roll-ups, things like that, I think Bitcoin as a whole won't be able to reach any of those applications that the rest of crypto has seen. But I think we're really closing the gap with ZK, with like verification of proofs on chain. A lot more things will be possible, and roll-ups will be probably one of the best ways to go about doing that.
Yeah, great question. I think this always, as a founder, I always think about what Steve Jobs says about this topic. I think because I'm also a developer myself, so a lot of times, especially when at the beginning of my career, I think a lot of time I work on most things because they are cool. It's just new technology. It's just exciting. But after I become, the founder myself, I find Steve Jobs' the word is really resonating because he's saying a lot of times the engineers or the scientists they come up with something, they think it's good for the end user, but the users they just don't feel any improvement over it. So for us, right now I think we take a more like let's say user-driven approach instead of like tech or innovation-driven. For example, this CAT20 tokens, because we have seen a lot of let's say pain points when people are trading or using indexer-based tokens. For example, you can over mint, right? For example, even some tokens, BRC20 or Ruins token is already maxed out. You can still, your transaction is still pending, and you can still lose your Bitcoin, but without successful minting. And also, all this indexer base, they can be accidentally burned, right? So that's why I think somebody came up with the CAT20 tokens to really solve the existing problem. Or you need to trade in full order. You cannot do partial order referring. I think the CAT20 also solve that beautifully because instead of buying the whole thing, you can also buy part of it, which is make it much more liquid. So the basic idea is always see what the pain points your users are facing and then prioritize those using technology and innovation. I think to me that's just a paradigm change for my mindset. Yeah. I think that's also my suggestion. If we really, because there's just so many ways to innovation. There's almost like there's no, I can come up with 10 ideas every single day, but a lot of time you really have to choose which ideas. And for me, I choose ideas that can really improve the user experience most. I try to prioritize those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think user-driven is very important rather than the tech-driven. So because we have technology, right? We have the research team and experts in the kit, but we still need to find the killer app for the application of zk. I think the same thing happens on Bitcoin. So for the application, I still want to use the example of the zk bridge. So if you have the OCAD and the BitVM and many other ecosystems and many other operations that can support it by Bitcoin, then we can have the convenient communication between Bitcoin and other chains. That's very important for the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, for me actually, I'm thinking about this question every day, and we have native verification on chain, and we think we can help a lot of projects, including how about a CDP protocol, stablecoin protocol, plus plus verification ability. What about Babylon plus the verification ability, and how about zk bridge plus the verification ability? So the key is to enable a verification ability no matter fraud proof or valid proof on chain. With this, we actually can rebuild a lot of projects that already existing in the Bitcoin ecosystem, including the restaking, staking, and CDP protocol and others, and also the bridge. And so this is why we plan to provide an API-based service of a flow proof and valid proof that we can eliminate the burdens of the user and the builders that not everybody need to build the whole stack using a new blockchain. They actually just need some kind of APIs. This is why we like RISC solution and the Polyhedra solution, because a lot of them things are API based, easy to use, and very user oriented. This is why we choose to going to release the API based service for verification of chain.
Okay, from our side, because we are building a CKVM, from a VM's perspective, once Snark or Stack verifier can be enabled on BTC, and actually enables generic computation, which from my side is everything that I can imagine. Right, opens everything. Thanks.
Okay, so that's all the question. Maybe one final fun question. So maybe predict the price for Bitcoin by the end of the year.
The price. Yeah.
Price prediction?
Yeah, prediction.
I'm trying to be realistic, like maybe 65,000. I think we've been in that range.
100.
We've been at 65,000 for like the past 8 months. I think we're going to be there for another like 4.
Yeah, I'm like a tech guy, so I'm not good at price prediction. Yeah, I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, between 60 to 70. That's my best guess. Hey, don't take this as a financial advice.
Yeah, I think it's higher than your prediction.
Okay.
Maybe go to 18,000 USD.
Actually, I have watched the video of the keynote of Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy and Nashville, and he is really bullish on this thing, because if people trading Bitcoin to trading, get rid of gold and get Bitcoin, and the whole Bitcoin will bullish, will go to the moon maybe. So I'm very bullish on these things, and his theory just support me to buy in more Bitcoin every month.
I think long-term rate will grow a little bit, slowly but steady. But I think I'm very concerned about ETF BTC, because it actually prevents people playing Bitcoin in the main blockchain, right? Because nowadays with ETF, people can purchase BTC without playing with the blockchain. I personally do not like this kind of thing. Thanks.
Okay, that is it for today. So the end goal is buy more Bitcoin, guys. Okay, thank you.